Hey, I'm Kai, and for some reason I've bought another tube amp. In case you don't know already, I work for ML Sound Lab, so predominantly I'm playing through plugins on my computer, and I sort of bought a real amp rig with the Reverb and the Zilla cab as sort of my fun rig, a rig where I'm not even allowed to work even if I wanted to. Now this was supposed to be a humble little small rig just for when I'm feeling like playing through something fun. However, my pedal board is now taking up most of the floor space in my room, and the amp and cab rig is standing at half my height. So the amp I bought this time is the EVH 5153 6L6 50 watt. This one came up at sort of a too good to pass up kind of deal on eBay. Normally I see these around the £650–700 mark, but I managed to grab this one for just £500. When I knew that I wanted to purchase an amp, I was initially looking at something like the High Watt Hi-Fi, for instance, or a Vox AC30, indie rock sort of things that work great with pedals. I did also run down the rabbit hole of using a power amp and cabinet with the Fractal FM3, something like the Orange Pedal Baby and a Zilla 1x12. This would hopefully have given me that small combo feel, but also been a little bit more versatile. However, all of that got scrapped. ADHD took the reins, and now I've got this 5150. I'm not mad though. A 5150 is an amp that I've always wanted to own because it's just such a staple in most of the genres that I play, so it was, it was a smart purchase overall, just really not what I'd planned to do. It's now time to hear the amp in action. I'll dial in a few different tones so that we can hear a range of different things this amp has to offer. As for the setup in this video, I'm running the amp into my 2-notes capped at a load box, then I'm running out into my interface into an instance of Aurora DSP's Fen Rear, loading an IR from ML Sound Lab, which is the ML Sound Lab oversized robust mix. For the guitar in this video, I'm going to stick with my PRS S2 Evertune. This has got the Seymour Duncan Pegasus and Sentient pickup set. It's currently tuned to drop C. We'll start by hearing the split neck pickup through the green channel of the 5150. Now the blue channel of the 5150 is something of a strange one. I definitely expected this to be more of a crunch sound, sort of like you'd expect with a 3-channel amp. You'd expect one to be clean, one to be crunch, one to be high gain, but that's very much not the case with this. This amp is very much clean, high gain, higher gain. This is with the gain control on the blue channel just above 2. Any lower than that and it starts to get really wimpy and anemic and not a great sound at all. So this is the lowest gain you can feasibly get out of this channel. Now let's hear something a little bit riffier and less power chordy, see if it, lightens up a little bit. Yeah, so it stays like right on the very level just before high gain, but ultimately this is a high gain channel really. Now we're going to switch over to the red channel of this amp. This is really the meat and potatoes of a 5150. If you're buying a 5150, this is the sound you're after. I am going to use the Fortin Zool Plus just to cut some of the noise from this channel because it can get quite noisy, but I'll show you how it sounds with no boost and the gain just down at 4. This is so much gain on this channel. Okay, so this is how much noise we have without the Zool. With the gate on, let's properly hear this channel. Lastly, in the playthrough section, since it's a big part of my channel, I'd love to check this amp out with a couple of pedals. I actually want to start with the blue channel on a high-ish gain setting, boosted with the Airis Effects Merciless drive. Okay, so unboosted, blue channel at 4, this is what we get. Now let's engage the boost. Also, since this amp has quite a nice clean channel, it would be a shame not to hear it in its full effect with delay and reverb. So I've got the Wampler Doctor, which is a fairly new addition to my pedal board, and I'm really enjoying that one. And I've also got the Mooer X2 Reverb. Just a quick note, if you're enjoying what I do on this channel, drop a like on this video and let the algorithm know that this is what you're into. I cover all sorts of gear on this channel, from guitars to amps to pedals to plugins, so if you feel like subscribing and sticking around for some of my future uploads, that'd be really awesome too. So that brings me on to the big question of the video, is why did I even buy this amp? I like my Reverb an awful lot, and it's one of my favourite sounds you can get with a guitar. However, it's definitely a one-trick pony, especially when compared to something like the 5153. The 5153 is a two-trick pony, so we're getting somewhere. The high gain tone of a 5150 is much better suited to the tighter sort of genres that I play. While the Reverb is super fuzzy and loose, the 5150 stays nice and articulate and really tightens up when you get your pick attack just right. I found that the cleans are completely different on both of these amps too. Where the Reverb has sort of vintage, warm sounding cleans, the 5150 is the complete opposite of that. The cleans are sparkly, bright, pristine, even sterile to a degree, but that's really what I like about these amps together. After trying out both of these amps for a little while, I can say that they contrast each other perfectly. I'm still missing some of that sort of mid territory with edge of breakup things like a Vox and crunchier things like a Marshall, for instance, but these two don't really have any overlap whatsoever, so they do fit really nicely. Really, the main reason I bought this 5150 was just because of the price. I don't really buy gear just to flip it or anything, but if it's too good a deal to pass up, I'll happily buy it just to try it out, knowing that I can get my money back without too much hassle. Now onto the review section. My first negative with this amp is going to be a pretty minor thing for most people, I'd say, but when it's tucked into the corner of a small bedroom like this, you really struggle to get to things on the back panel, such as the power switch, the standby switch, and most importantly the resonance control. Rather than having separate controls for each of the channels on this amp, you've got shared controls for the green and blue channels, which are the lower two channels. You've got a shared presence control across all three channels, and the resonance control is shared across all three as well. The main issue here is going to be the green and blue volume and gain controls, because these two channels don't react anywhere near the same, and you definitely need these on different settings for it to be usable in a live context. Of course, that doesn't matter too much for me, as I'm mostly just a bedroom guitarist, so I'll dial my tones in ready to record and then just record. I don't need to switch between tones all that often. They fixed this for the next iteration of the 50-watt 5150 and added concentric pots for the channel 1 and channel 2. Onto some lighter notes. I have to say the sound of this amp is phenomenal. It's exactly the sound that you want a 5150 to be. It's super easy to dial in, the EQ is super drastic, which gives you a great range of different tones available. I'd say that the channels aren't super versatile in themselves, but if you just want a high gain tone, a slightly lower high gain tone, and a clean tone, covers most of metal with that, you'll be golden with this amp. The resonance control on the back panel of this amp is a fantastic feature and I really love it. I wish my Reverb had one. This is great for when you're playing in the room and you want to dial it up nice and loud, but you don't want those super subby low frequencies vibrating the room and blowing the windows out. It's definitely deserving of the hype. I used to hate the 5150 sound just because of how generic it is, but it's a time-proven formula for great guitar tones and you just can't argue with it. That's everything that I've got for this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see a deeper dive of this amp. I'd love to check it out fully, dial it in some more with a few different spots across the different gain ranges of each of the channels, dial it in with a couple different guitars in different tunings from E standard all the way down to drop E. I'd like to dial it in with some pedals as well, see how it takes a fuzz pedal for instance, on both the clean channel and on the dirty channel, and just generally explore it, see what it sounds like through my cab in the room, all that sort of stuff. If that's what you're interested in, let me know and I'll see if I can sort that. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate you sticking around to the end, it does mean a lot to me. So if you wanted to check out another one of my videos, there'll be a link on screen right now for you to check out my review of the Orange Reverb 100, but until next time, I've been Kai.